It is Taiwan, February 26, 2032, just after midnight. Two patrol officers respond to an SOS coming from the mansion of a powerful tycoon named Wang Shukong, the CEO of Wang Corporation. He has been seriously ill for a while, so the call immediately feels urgent. When the officers arrive, they are led inside by the household assistant, Chung. She leads them straight to a specific room, one marked by a strange carved symbol, a triangle inside a circle. We will call it the inscribed triangle. Even before they fully step in, the air hits them, thick with an intense incense smell. Inside, everything feels wrong. There is an unsettling painting on the wall and a faint haze in the room, like something was burned not long ago. Then they see him. Wang Shukong is dead, brutally so, his head cracked from heavy blows. Nearby, his wife Lian is unconscious, still clutching a ritual object known as a vajra, the same kind of object that could have caused that damage. The officers call for an ambulance right away. Not long after, Lian comes to, and the moment she realizes where she is and what is around her, she is visibly shocked. This case is far from simple. This is the soul. Elsewhere, we meet Detective Ah-Bao. She is 7 months pregnant and currently getting an ultrasound, with her husband Wen Chao by her side. Wen Chao is a prosecutor, and the baby is doing fine. For a brief moment, it feels like life is still normal for them. But then the situation flips. Wen Chao undergoes an X-ray, and doctors find multiple cancer spots along his spine. His legs have already started to go numb. Even with injections and treatment, the cancer is stubborn, and the worst part is what comes next. If it keeps progressing, it will eventually spread to his brain, pushing him into the final stage. The doctor explains there is a newer approach involving RNA restoration technology. It cannot fully eliminate the cancer, but it can extend his life. The problem is timing. The program will not begin until early next year. Until then, Wen Chao is told he needs genetic testing first to confirm whether his body is even suitable for the therapy.
都先做基因检测。第三节脊椎这边。
On the way home, the couple argues. Ah-Bao wants to sell one of her apartments to help pay for everything. Wen Chao refuses. He does not want her to carry that burden, and he points out the brutal reality: the genetic test and the RNA treatment could cost millions, far beyond what one apartment sale could cover. He would rather accept his condition than drain their entire future. While they are dealing with that, the news breaks. Wang Shukong has been found dead in his own home, covered in blood, killed by blunt force trauma. The public does not yet know the identity of the suspected killer, but behind the scenes, Lian has already been taken into custody and brought to the police station. Reports quickly summarize who Shukong was. Wang Corporation started in cosmetic biotechnology, then expanded into education, insurance, and real estate. Shukong built a public image as a generous philanthropist, supporting orphanages and funding education for children in need. And before his death, people knew he was already battling brain cancer. Back at work, Wen Chao makes a bold move. Despite his worsening health, he goes to his superior and asks to return as lead prosecutor on the Shukong case. He cannot afford to step away, not with a baby on the way. His boss agrees because Wen Chao is simply too skilled to replace. At the station, Ah-Bao begins questioning Lian. Lian starts giving her timeline. She says that on the night of February 25th, before the murder happened, she could not sleep, so she spent time alone out on the balcony, trying to calm her mind. As Lian is about to return to her room, she notices something disturbing. Carved into the door of the room where her husband is being treated is that same strange symbol, the inscribed triangle. Inside the room, she sees Wang Tianyu, Shukong's son, his body covered in tattoos, performing what appears to be a dark ritual. The smell of incense is overwhelming. Tianyu is the child from Shukong's first marriage to Su Zhen, his late wife, who also worked as a technician at Wang Corporation. In his final moments of consciousness, Shukong manages to send an SOS message from his phone. Right after that, Tianyu knocks him off the bed, smashes the phone, and repeatedly strikes his head with a sacred object known as a vajra. Lian tries to stop him, but before the killing is complete, Tianyu declares that his father must sacrifice himself for the sake of other souls.
奇怪的符咒，我可以又可以用火。
The sight of blood everywhere is too much for Lian, and she collapses from shock. When she finally regains consciousness, the vajra is already in her hand. At that moment, Two police officers and the house assistant, Chung, arrive and find her like that. Watching the interrogation from another room, Wen Chao notices something subtle but important. The nail on Lian's left index finger is broken. Next, it is Cheng's turn to be questioned. She explains that she woke up after hearing loud crashing sounds, followed by someone screaming inside the house. When she rushed out of her room, she saw Tian Yu running away from the mansion. As she moved towards Shi Kong's room to check on him, the police arrived almost at the same time. She let them inside, leading straight into the scene we saw at the beginning. Lian also reveals that Tian Yu had disappeared long ago, ever since his mother Su Zhen died. About 2 weeks earlier, during Lunar New Year, he suddenly returned home in a highly emotional state, accusing his father of killing Su Zhen. According to Lian, the tattoos covering Tian Yu's body were his way of communicating with his mother's spirit. Both Tian Yu and Su Zhen had been deeply involved in occult practices. There is also a symbol carved into Tian Yu's chest, identical to the inscribed triangle found on Shi Kong's bedroom door. For now, the interrogation comes to an end. In front of Ah-Bao and the investigative team, Wen Chao shares a crucial finding. Shi Kong's will names a second heir. That person is Euang, the director of Euang Corporation and Shi Kong's longtime friend. Ah-Bao confronts Euang, asking why he was chosen as an heir, while Shi Kong's only biological son, Tian Yu, was excluded entirely. Euang suggests that this could be the motive behind the murder, resentment over being cut out of the inheritance. More details begin to surface. According to Cheng, Su Zhen suffered from severe depression. After giving birth, Shi Kong reportedly ignored her for nearly 10 years, never showing affection or care. Su Zhen also knew that her husband had an affair. The day before her death, Su Zhen lashed out in anger, even hitting Tian Yu because he was growing to resemble his father more and more. After she fell from the balcony and died, Shi Kong only appeared at the funeral briefly, enough to maintain his public image. In reality, it was Euang who handled all the funeral arrangements. Investigators also noticed strange sketches on Tian Yu's hand, rough drawings that resemble a woman's face. Around the same time, Cheng admits she never truly liked her employer, Shi Kong. Even before she started working there, Shi Kong had a reputation for constantly changing household staff. Despite being seriously ill, he still wanted to remarry, and it was Euang who eventually introduced him to Lian, an orphan from one of the charity homes funded by Euang Corporation. Meanwhile, Wen Chao reviews the forensic report. The head wound strongly suggests the killer was left-handed. That detail immediately stands out, especially when he notices Lian holding a pen with her left hand. Even though much of the evidence points toward Tian Yu, Wen Chao refuses to let Lian go home. Her fingerprints are all over the vajra used in the killing, and the fact that she is left-handed keeps her firmly under suspicion. Wen Chao then orders the detectives, including his wife Ah-Bao, to re-examine Su Zhen's death and confirm whether she truly died from an accidental fall. Ah-Bao returns to the crime scene at Shi Kong's mansion with her team. The room looks exactly as it did on the night of the murder, dried bloodstains still visible. Near a pile of scattered items, she finds another inscribed triangle carved into the floor. Then something unsettling happens. A bag behind her suddenly lifts and drops on its own. Inside the bag, Ah-Bao discovers ancient books on dark magic. She steps out onto the balcony, feeling the overwhelming silence of the house. It is a massive mansion, isolated on a hill, with no neighbors nearby. Standing there, Ah-Bao imagines Su Zhen's final moments. One year earlier, Su Zhen died after jumping from that same balcony. Before doing so, she had contacted a journalist, intending to expose something about Shi Kong to the public. When the journalist arrived, he was shocked as Su Zhen suddenly did the unthinkable, and the entire moment was captured on camera. The case was eventually closed and classified as a suicide. Strangely, media reports later framed it as an accident, claiming Su Zhen slipped and fell. In the footage, she is seen throwing what looks like money into the air, yet none of it was ever recovered at the scene, likely carried away by strong winds. Back at the station, Ah-Bao presents the ancient book she found. The team begins connecting the dots. Chung had already mentioned that Shi Kong and Su Zhen's marriage was deeply troubled. Further reports reveal that Su Zhen was obsessed with yin magic, studying the inscribed triangle, a form of inner black magic believed to be extremely powerful. She carved the symbol into her own body using a vajra, intending to place a curse on Shikong. Not long after Su Zhen's death, Shikong was diagnosed with brain cancer, and Euang Corporation soon fell into a financial crisis. According to the ancient texts, Ah-Bao explains that the ritual Su Zhen performed would prevent her soul from reincarnating. The autopsy also revealed hallucinogens in her body derived from belladonna plants, with a chemical profile similar to the incense found at Shikong's murder scene. Based on all of this, Ah-Bao forms her theory. Tianyu likely used a special type of incense to knock Shikong unconscious, then beat him to death with the vajra. And in her mind, this was never just about revenge. There was something much bigger driving Tianyu's actions.
记者为了独家感到迷疯王世聪，因此我们推论，甚至选择。
On top of everything else, investigators learned that a CCTV camera had been installed inside Lian's bedroom. It was set up by Euang with Lian's consent, though he never clearly explained why it was necessary. When Ah-Bao reviews the footage, one thing becomes clear. At the exact time of the murder, Lian was not in her room. According to her statement, she had gone out to the balcony to get some air. But the footage reveals something far more disturbing. On November 11, 2031, 3 months before the murder, Lian is seen acting terrified. Over 3 consecutive nights, she appears to talk to herself, tremble violently, and suffer seizures, almost as if she were possessed. A lip-reading expert later confirms that she was addressing Su Zhen directly, insisting that she was not afraid and could not be harmed. Despite this, psychological evaluations show no signs of mental illness in Lian.
李艳的房间。
再看隔天，你不要以为我会怕你，你伤害不了我的。
他说什么？
During the first court session, Wenqiao asked Lian to explain those recordings. She claims that from the moment she arrived at Shikong's house, she sensed another presence there. One night, she says she was strangled by something invisible and saw the spirit of Su Zhen. From then on, she believes Su Zhen was trying to take over her body. Still, she insists that on the night of the murder, she was fully conscious and tried to stop Tianyu. Lian then suggests another lead. She urges Wenqiao to investigate the incense Tianyu used, explaining that the plant needed to make it only grows in rare limestone soil, found in very few places in Taiwan. Her knowledge raises Wenqiao's suspicion. It sounds like she knows far too much about these incense plants. Lian explains that Su Zhen had already marked the locations where they grew, intending them for her son.
哎呦！但是只住着他和张哥。你以为我会怕你吗？
Later, Wenqiao watches more CCTV footage from Lian's room. He notices Euang entering, and Lian looks unusually cheerful around him. After one of his chemotherapy sessions, Wenqiao begins researching on his own and uncovers old news articles about an alleged affair between Su Zhen and Euang. He also stumbles upon controversy surrounding a secretive project once led by Su Zhen and Euang. It involved experimental research on brain replication using RNA technology, supposedly aimed at curing cancer. Not long after, Ah-Bao brings Wenqiao the court analysis files he requested. Together, they review all the clues and focus on one major pattern. Lian's personality had changed drastically after she first moved into Shikong's house a year earlier. According to Chung, Lian had been polite, shy, and reserved. Even when she first met Euang, she appeared timid. Lian had always been cautious in her room, changing clothes only in the bathroom because of the CCTV camera. Yet a few days after the alleged possession episodes, her behavior shifted completely. She began walking out of the bathroom naked, leaving her bedroom door wide open, with no concern at all. There is another strange detail. Lian appears to have become left-handed, yet in Shikong's will, she signed documents with her right hand, and her signature there looks far neater and more controlled than it does now. The most unsettling detail comes from the CCTV footage itself. Inside Lian's room, she is seen acting unusually close to Euang, far beyond what would be considered normal, even showing clear physical affection.
有规矩的小女生，看起来很陌生的样子。她应该是知道今天走到厕所去换。你看这个。
Not long after, Ah-Bao and Wenqiao attend a public presentation for Euang Corporation's latest breakthrough. The project claims to cure brain cancer with a success rate of over 92%, and even boasts the ability to transfer brain cells from one individual to another using RNA technology. Wenqiao tries to push deeper, wondering what would happen if RNA from one lab animal were implanted into another. But the event offers no question and answer session, leaving more questions than answers. Later, Ah-Bao, Wenchao, and several detectives meet Yufang directly. Wenchao presses him about his relationship with Lian, as well as the long-standing rumors about his affair with Sujin. Promised confidentiality, Yufang finally reveals his side of the story. A year earlier, when Shikong was diagnosed with brain cancer, he began searching for a successor from within his own bloodline. Tianyu was never an option. His emotional instability made him unfit, and there was also concern that Shikong's cancer might have been passed down to him genetically. That is why Shikong chose to marry Lian. Under this plan, Lian and Yufang would serve as interim heirs, while the future child of Shikong and Lian would officially inherit the company at 18. To survive long enough to see that happen, Shikong became the first patient to undergo the RNA cancer treatment. The procedure only extended his life, with no guarantee of a cure. Meanwhile, there were plans to genetically modify Lian's unborn child to eliminate the risk of inherited cancer. That modification, however, came with side effects. Lian began suffering paranoia and seizures, exactly like what was seen on the CCTV footage. When it comes to the affair rumors involving Sujin, Yufeng refuses to comment. Wenchao then reveals something critical. The journalist who recorded Sujin's death has confessed that Yufeng was present at the scene that day. The papers Sujin threw into the air were not money at all. They were intimate photographs of Shikong and Sujin together. The journalist had been paid off to keep Yufang's name out of the incident and away from Sujin's death. Wenchao then lays out his theory. After Shikong fell ill, Yufang introduced Lian to him under the pretense of managing succession plans. In reality, Yufang intended to use RNA technology to implant Sujin's brain cells, even after her death, into Lian's body. It was his way of being reunited with Sujin, even if it meant living through another person. After that, Yufang allegedly took advantage of Tianyu's grief and anger, steering him toward killing his own father, Shikong. At this point, Yufang abruptly ends the meeting. He accuses Wenchao and the others of making reckless theories without solid proof. He insists that none of them understand the sacrifices he claims to have made for Shikong's family.
这段影片 可以用在另一个大脑上。为了王家付出了多少？
A few days later, the forensic team manages to recover data from Shikong's phone, which had been destroyed during the murder. At the same time, Wenchao and his team locate Tianyu's hiding place and prepare to raid it with a SWAT unit. The location turns out to be deep in a remote forest. When they reach the target, a small cabin, Wenchao and Ah-Bao discover stacks of old photos showing Sujin and a much younger Tianyu. They also find multiple inscribed triangle seals and an envelope containing a letter written by Sujin to her son. SWAT officers then move into a shed behind the cabin. Inside, they find large quantities of incense plants with an overpowering smell. Suddenly, Tianyu attacks, but he is quickly subdued and taken into custody.
法庭汇报，后方发生恶意。
He is brought straight to the police station. During questioning about Shikong's murder, Tianyu shows no remorse. He insists his father deserved to die. He also recounts a message from his mother the day before her death, telling him to continue caring for her incense plants in the mountains, because the Buddha would soon take her life.
如果有一天爸爸离开了，
我要让他下地狱！我要让他下地狱！
妈妈明明前一天还呼吸。
After Shikong is cremated, Wenchao conducts a cross-examination of both witnesses, Tianyu and Lian. While filling out paperwork, Lian is seen deliberately rubbing her finger until it bleeds. When the two witnesses face each other, Tianyu explains that weeks after his mother's death, he returned home to attend Sujin's memorial ceremony. At that time, Lian handed him a farewell letter from his late mother. Then something unsettling happens. When Lian is asked to give her statement, she suddenly breaks down and asks about the condition of the incense plants in the mountains. It becomes clear that Lian is being possessed by Sujin. Through Lian's body, Sujin's spirit reveals that she had written a letter for her son before her death. That letter was hidden by Shikong until her spirit finally managed to deliver it to Tianyu by inhabiting Lian. She expresses gratitude to Tianyu for killing Shikong and claims she has now seen her husband burning in hell. Tianyu can only cry, believing he has finally reunited with his mother.
悠悠，我终于等到你回家，我等了你1年。爸爸，
我谢谢你杀死那个人，本来就是想告诉你。
The letter explains that Su Zhen did not end her life merely to expose Shikong's corruption. She deliberately sacrificed herself in a dark ritual to curse him. The papers she threw into the air when she jumped from the balcony were not money, but inscribed triangle symbols. After Su Zhen's death, Shikong developed brain cancer, and his company began to suffer massive losses. The letter also outlines her plan for Tian, you to return home and, during a full moon, draw the inscribed triangle on Shikong's bedroom door and kill him using the Vajra. Following the interrogation, Wen Chao collapses and is rushed to the hospital as his condition rapidly worsens. Doctors perform emergency brain surgery, leaving him in a coma for 2 days. When he wakes up, he cannot move his body and struggles to speak. Ah-Bao gently takes care of him, helping clean and support him. The hospital agrees to provide RNA technology surgery for Wen Chao at no cost going forward. Even so, once the treatment is completed, Wen Chao is told he will remain permanently paralyzed, as the cancer in his spine is already too severe. Tian Yu is formally charged with Shikong's murder and sentenced to life in prison. Meanwhile, Lian leaves the hospital with Euang. Their relationship appears close, but Euang looks deeply uneasy, as if something is still weighing on him. A few days later, everything takes another sudden turn. Lian flees her home while calling the police, claiming that Euang is trying to kill her. As Wen Chao's condition slowly stabilizes, he returns to reviewing the investigation files on Shikong's case. That is when he discovers something shocking. 2 audio recordings from Shikong's phone had been deliberately edited, and the edits were made by his own wife, Ah-Bao. From those recordings, it becomes clear that Ah-Bao already knew the truth. Lian was the real killer, and she had planned to take over the company together with Euang. Knowing this, Ah-Bao made a secret deal with both of them. She altered the audio evidence so that Tian Yu would take the blame as the sole suspect. In exchange, Euang Corporation had to provide free RNA surgery for Wen Chao. When Wen Chao learns the truth, he is devastated. Even with the operation, he will remain paralyzed, and he feels that living in such a condition is worse than dying. Through tears, Ah-Bao admits that she was willing to break every ethical rule as a law enforcement officer to save her husband and protect the life of their unborn child.
鸡蛋都快苦了。
你们有我要的东西。
身为执法人员，你有没有原则？
我什么原则都可以没有。
想抓我，我的一点都不。
At the police station, Lian explains what happened when Euang attacked her. He had come as usual to inject medication into her body while she was pregnant with his child. Suspicious, Lian removed the injection before it was finished. That was when Euang threatened to kill her if she refused to hand over ownership of Euang Corporation. While monitoring Lian's situation, Wen Chao revisits Shikong's will. He secretly asks to speak with Lian alone and plays part of the audio recording from the night of the murder, clearly revealing Lian's intention to seize control of the company. Lian shows no shock at all. Instead, she calmly waits to hear what Wen Chao wants. Wen Chao then lays out his full theory, supported by 5 key points. First, Su Zhen's letter had been rewritten or altered by Lian to fuel Tian Yu's hatred and push him toward killing his father. Second, Lian consistently used Shikong's name as the author on official documents, as if she were acting under his identity. Third, the audio proves that Tian Yu struck Shikong twice before fleeing in fear, but those blows were not fatal. It was Lian who picked up the Vajra and continued the attack until Shikong was dead. Fourth, Euang Corporation was suffering massive losses while also possessing RNA technology capable of copying a person's traits and consciousness into another body. And finally, the audio recording captures Lian justifying her actions, showing a mindset identical to Shikong's. All of this leads to one chilling conclusion. Wang Shikong had implanted his RNA into Lian's brain. The person known as Lian had in truth been Shikong all along. When confronted with this theory, Lian simply smiles and silently confirms it. Wen Chao wonders why Shikong chose a woman's body to continue his life, but Lian ignores the question and walks away. At that point, everything becomes clear. The emotional breakdowns in the interrogation room were nothing more than an act. Lian had pretended to be possessed by Su Zhen to mislead everyone into believing Tian Yu was the sole killer. As for Tianyu, he confessed because he truly believed he had killed his father. He fled in terror, assuming Shikong was already dead. In reality, the fatal blows came later, delivered by Lin, or more accurately, by Shikong himself in another body.
想聊什么就快点讲。
就在唐素贞继任皇室，走。
The next day, after Ah-Bao leaves for work at the police station, Euang suddenly visits Wen Chao at his home, asking for help. That is when Euang finally reveals the full truth about what really happened between himself, Shikong, and Lin. To the public, Shikong and Euang were known as close friends who built Wang Corporation together starting in 2012. What no one knew was that the two had been emotionally involved for a long time. Shikong also carried a hidden desire to live as a woman, something he carefully concealed from the public eye. In 2014, he married Su Zhen purely to maintain his image as a successful businessman. Lacking any real attraction, Shikong remained emotionally distant throughout their marriage. Euang, feeling guilty towards Su Zhen for being neglected, often kept her company, which eventually sparked rumors of an affair. As Wang Corporation's research advanced, Shikong began to see a new possibility. He wanted to use RNA technology to transform himself into a woman, allowing him to continue controlling the company while living in the body he truly desired. For years, Su Zhen lived in quiet misery. Then in 2030, she discovered undeniable proof of the secret relationship between her husband and Euang. That was when she wrote a letter to her son, Tianyu, stating that she intended to sacrifice herself in order to place a curse on Shikong. The papers Su Zhen threw into the air were not only inscribed triangle symbols. They also included intimate photographs of Shikong and Euang together. Not long after Su Zhen took her own life, Shikong developed brain cancer. This pushed both men to accelerate their RNA research and use it for two purposes. The first was to keep Shikong alive. The second was to pay Lin 100,000 to serve as a vessel for Shikong's RNA. In simple terms, Shikong's brain cells would be copied into Lin's brain, slowly replacing her consciousness with his own. In 2031, Lin agreed. She became Shikong's legal wife and was named an heir to Wang Corporation alongside Euang. The operation itself took place in a secret laboratory hidden beneath Shikong's mansion. The side effects were immediate. Lin began experiencing severe seizures at night. After 3 nights of convulsions in her room, Lin's once gentle personality vanished. She became cold and detached, even examining her new body without shame, because by then, Shikong's consciousness had already taken over. What makes it even darker is that Lin's body was inseminated with Shikong's sperm, ensuring his bloodline would continue. At his core, Shikong was driven by control. He wanted absolute ownership of his company and his legacy. After the RNA transfer, the original Shikong grew increasingly anxious. He frequently called Euang, expressing fear that his position would be taken by someone else, even though that someone was technically himself, now living inside Lin's body. Lin overheard one of those conversations. That moment triggered the copied Shikong to act. First, she altered Su Zhen's letter, adding instructions that pushed Tianyu toward revenge, even though the original letter was only meant as a farewell. Then when Tianyu attacked Shikong twice and fled in terror, believing he had killed his father, Lin finished the job. She murdered the original Shikong to protect a company that was rapidly collapsing. In the end, it came down to Shikong's true nature. He was deeply selfish. So selfish that even his own copy, living inside Lin, refused to lose to the original version of himself. What no one expected was what happened right after the incident. Lin's original consciousness did not disappear completely. She fainted at the scene and became dragged into the case herself. Lin had a severe phobia of blood, which suggests that a small part of her original awareness was still lingering inside her body. After everything unfolded, Euang grew deeply disappointed with Lin's decision to kill the original Shikong. No matter what, the only person Euang ever truly loved was the original Shikong. What makes it worse is that Lin's plan, or rather Shikong's copy inside her, had been carried out without Euang's knowledge. Eventually, the situation reached a breaking point. Euang planned to kill Lin in her own home by giving her a lethal injection, but Lin sensed something was wrong, managed to escape, and called the police.
你打这是什么？
有点麻醉的成分，
Euang later admitted to Wenchao that he was no longer sure the operation had truly worked. The Shirkong living inside Lin did not feel like the man he once knew. Desperate, Euang asked Wenchao for help, hoping to force Lien to confess in court and provide evidence to support it. But Wenchao had a different plan, because Euang's proposal would also expose Ah-Bao, who had altered the audio evidence, and send her to prison. After all the chaos, Lien, as the primary heir, ended up becoming the sole owner of Euang Corporation and pushed Euang out completely. A few days later, Wenchao arranged a private meeting with Lien at her residence. Euang accompanied him in disguise as a nurse. During the meeting, Wenchao questioned whether Sujin's curse had truly worked. Since Lian's family ties were destroyed, her lover was gone, and the company continued to suffer losses. Lien showed no concern at all. To her, control over the company was all that mattered. In her view, affection only ruined lives. She pointed to Ah-Bao, who broke ethical rules to save Wenchao, and Tianyu, who sought revenge for his mother, as proof of that belief. Not long after, Euang entered the room and quickly subdued Lien.
年轻人，记住一句话。
Shortly afterward, Lien suddenly withdrew from ownership of Euang Corporation and cut all ties with the company. Elsewhere, overwhelmed by guilt over the death of the original Shirkong, Euang ended his own life in Shirkong's old bedroom. At the same time, back at her home, Ah-Bao discovered an audio recording left by Wenchao. In it, he expressed his desire to protect his family and left a final message for his unborn child, knowing they might never meet. Days later, the trial finally began. Lien confessed to killing Shirkong and presented all the evidence herself, including admitting that she was the one who edited the audio recordings. She was officially convicted, while Tianyu received a reduced sentence, since he had also struck Shirkong during the attack.
我为了脱罪隐瞒事情。
就算遇到了光妈，只要一皱眉。
Not long after that, Wenchao's condition worsened as the brain cancer progressed. He passed away that same day, never getting the chance to see his child be born.
但是这一次，我会一直在你们的身边。
After Wenchao confronted Lien and Euang subdued her, Wenchao made a final decision. To ensure that Lien would confess to killing Shirkong in court and admit to editing the audio evidence herself, he carried out his last plan. Wenchao implanted his own RNA into Lien's brain, a process that completely erased the remaining consciousness of Shirkong. In the end, the Lien we see now is no longer Lien at all. She is Wenchao. As he once promised in his final voice message to Ah-Bao, Wenchao was willing to do anything to protect his family, even if it meant locking his consciousness inside another body, confessing to a crime, and spending the rest of his existence in prison. All so his wife and daughter could live on, even if he could never be with them again for the rest of his life. So the moral of the story is never mix family drama, dark magic, and experimental RNA tech, unless you enjoy ruining lives in the most complicated way possible.